Hello everyone and welcome to your very own Webinar Wednesday recap. Due to the tragic technical issues which we encountered during our Basics 101 webinar that caused us to abruptly end our session for the very first time, we wanted to provide those who attended patiently waiting for a fix a token of our appreciation. Yes, we are an IT company, I know, and yes, sometimes these technical issues can happen to the best of us. However, we are dedicated to our community providing them the best of what we can do. So sit back and relax, pour that glass of wine, and enjoy your webinar recap. So basically what I'll be covering is managing your catalogs and galleries, creating those projects, rendering in quick sheets, and finally organizing your projects. So your basic understanding of how to navigate the most basic functions in kits will help you close those sales quickly, so you'll need to know these basics. Let's go ahead and start this webinar. So where I first want to start is I just want to quickly talk about some of the iPad requirements that you may or may not be aware of. So we all know that kits does rely on a Wi-Fi connection. So what you must do is you need to be connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi in order to sync all your catalogs down or any content that you wish to sync down. Now, kits isn't completely dependent on a Wi-Fi connection. So as soon as you're completed syncing all your content, you can easily use the app offline and still access all those catalogs and wonderful galleries that we have ready for you. All right. The only time you really need a Wi-Fi connection is when you're syncing down your content, as well as when you're trying to communicate using the app of any projects that you're working with your client. All right. The other thing you need to know as well is that you need to set your auto lock function either to never or delayed as long as possible. And the reason being is if kits goes into an auto lock or sleep mode, what happens is during a sync process, it can abruptly end your sync. Okay, so let's be careful with that. You want to make sure that whenever you're syncing all the data without any issue. You don't want to corrupt the data going to your iPad. So just make sure that if you can access your auto lock function and set it to never, please do so when you're using the app, or delay it as long as you can, and just make sure that you're keeping the iPad awake as it's syncing down. And again, the reason for all this is that all the features and functions in kits are done in-app only. Okay, so it doesn't work in the background. All right, so let's go ahead and begin with the rest of the webinar. So I'm just going to quickly go here and open up my kits. So if this is your first time opening your kits mobile app, you will start off in the catalog subscription screen. After that, you will start off here in which we call the project gallery screen. And in the project gallery screen, you do have a navigation bar, which you find at the very top here. In the middle of the navigation bar is the quantity count of the projects that you currently have synced to your iPad. And you can see here that I have 547 projects. I do have a 64 gig iPad Air, so that kind of gives you an idea of the space requirement. Now again, we've had some clients that have exceeded 1,000, even the 2,000 project mark. So kits can hold quite a few projects there for you. Okay. Now to the right of the project quantity count, we have the notification bell, which I'll start talking about a little bit later. And then we have the online tutorial icon, this question mark here. And if you tap it, what this will do is it'll prompt you to our tutorial page, where you can see that kits recognizes where you are in the app. And so what it'll do is it'll bring up that tutorial first. Okay. But if you don't want to access that tutorial, you do have quite a few other tutorials at the bottom here that you can choose from. When you know you have the right tutorial, all you have to do is tap on that, and then tap on the big play button you see here in the middle, and make sure that your audio is turned up because there is sound. All right. And next to that, we have the sync link, which takes you into the catalog subscription screen. So let's go ahead and tap on that. So the catalog subscription screen is basically where you're going to be able to manage all the content that's available to you. So the content that I'm talking about is what you're authorized to be selling through the dealership you work with. What this will include is all the manufacturer's catalogs, which you see here under the publisher list, as well as all the planning typicals that are associated, which we currently have highlighted. Now, you may be wondering why you see quite a few manufacturers on my iPad, and that's because I have administrative rights over all of the kits domain. So I have every single manufacturer and planning typical, as well as future planning typicals that we're creating on my iPad. All right. Now, to select one of your manufacturers is pretty easy. All you need to make sure you do is find the manufacturer listed under the publisher or manufacturer heading. If you flick up or down, you can actually go through the list if it's as extensive as, as mine is. And then when you do find the manufacturer, all you need to do here, I'm just going to go quickly to national. All you need to do is tap it. And once you tap on that manufacturer on the right-hand side, we'll highlight all the catalogs that are available from that manufacturer. Now, you do see a number beside the manufacturer name here in black, which indicates that this manufacturer currently has 5 catalogs that are available to download, in which, in blue, 5 of those catalogs I've already downloaded. All right, if you look over here, you can see that I've downloaded all the catalogs because I do have a big blue check highlighted beside that. Now, I'm just going to quickly go down to Paoli. And you can see here what we have is quite a few catalogs that are available for me to download. Now, under the catalog name, we do have what we call as the status notification line. And that status notification line indicates the availability of that catalog. And currently, you can see that in blue that the download is available. And that's because I haven't downloaded that catalog to my iPad yet. Right? So it is available. Now, if we look at case goods into, you can see that I have a blank status notification line. And what that blank status notification line, as well as with the big blue check beside it, indicates that I currently have synced that catalog to my iPad. Now, the other notification that you will see here will be whether there's an update available, and that'll appear in red in the status notification line. Now, my iPad is currently updated, so I don't have any of those to show you, but if you do have an update available, you'll see it here in the status notification line in red saying update available, as well as if you go back to the project gallery screen, here in the notification bell will indicate a 1 or a 2, letting you know that there is something for you to sync. And if you were to tap on that notification bell, it'll indicate what you have available. And you can see here that right now I have some accepted shared projects that I haven't synced to my iPad yet. All right, so that's the current sync that I have right now. If I'm satisfied with whatever I need to sync here, all I need to do is tap on that sync now, and it'll start the sync process. All right, and just going back to the catalog subscription screen again. To sync any of your catalogs, all you need to do is simply tap on the radio button that is found left of the manufacturer catalog or gallery name, which you can see here in my planning typicals. All you need to do is tap any of these available radio buttons. Once you tap it, what it does is it actually lists that catalog or gallery in, I guess you could say, an invisible list, a sync list, if you might want to call it that. And this sync list will be held until you actually tap sync now. So you can go ahead and tap on as many manufacturers as you want. And then when you're ready to sync that, all you need to do is tap sync now. And it'll begin to sync the projects down, or sync the catalog or gallery or projects actually down to your iPad. All right. Now, if you want to cancel your sync, all you need to do is tap on cancel. And when you do that, what would happen is Kits basically rolls back the information prior to when you hit sync. So it doesn't retain the information. It doesn't save half the data. It just rolls it back so that when you tap sync again to download that catalog or gallery that you canceled, it starts from fresh, right? Again, you can also access the online tutorial here by tapping on that question mark, and you'll see that that online tutorial is on every page. All right. Now, just quickly, what is the difference between the catalogs and the planning typicals that you see here? Well, the catalogs are provided to us by the manufacturer, and they will actually provide us their data sets on a recurring basis, which our conversion team really just converts that data so that it's usable in kits. The planning typicals are a little bit different. They're created by our content creation team. And what we do is we try to create a synergy between the resources that the manufacturers provide on their websites or through brochures, and replicate the typicals. These are pre-configured typicals that are available for users to use. The reason why we like building these galleries is because it really does help the salesperson quickly ideate when they need to find a solution for their client. All right, so get used to navigating between the catalogs as well as the planning typicals, because you never know when a client is going to call you in and you need to find a quick solution, and we might just have one of those solutions created in one of the planning typicals that you're looking at. All right, so that's pretty much it for the catalog subscription screen. Let's go back to the project gallery screen by tapping on the projects link found here left corner. All right, so again, we're back in the project gallery screen. But before we actually talk about this, what I really want to do is I want to move right into creating a scene. So let's go ahead and tap on the big plus sign that you see here, which is the Project Create or Start button. And tap on that. And here you can see that it takes us into what we call as the scene builder. And I'm just going to quickly zoom in here because you may not be able to see it on my screen. But I do have that floor grid, which everybody will see by default, which comes in at 30 feet by 30 feet. So this is the scene builder. This is where I like to say the magic happens. And at the very top of the scene builder, we have, again, the navigation bar. And in the middle of the navigation bar, we have the project name. And as a best practice, what I always suggest you do is tap on that project name and assign a name. So today I'm just going to call this Webinar Demo. And when you're ready, all you need to do is tap on Return or the keyboard close to accept that name. Now, the project hasn't been saved yet. We have assigned an actual name. In order to save your project, what you'll need to do is tap on Projects here. And you can see that it'll prompt for you to save, don't save, or cancel. So I'm just going to say Save. And then just in case you do have Salesforce connectivity, you will get this prompt here asking you to connect to that opportunity to your Salesforce account. Right now, I'm just going to say later. But that's an entirely different webinar, which I normally don't run. Our sales team does run that webinar. So if you're interested, let us know and we can put you in contact with the right people. All right, so here you can see that my project is now created. Here it is, Webinar Demo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on that so that we can work on that project. All right, so we're back into the scene builder. So let's talk a little bit more about this navigation bar. What we have here beside the project name is what we call the hand gesture icon. And if I were to tap on that, some of you may already have this ribbon on your screen. What it does is it prompts the gesture ribbon to appear. Now, I'm going to leave it on my screen because we're actually going to go through the movements. All right. Again, you can recognize that we have the online tutorial icon again. You know where that takes you. And then we have this cogwheel, which is our project settings. So if we go ahead and tap on project settings, you can see here that it takes you into the settings menu where it does provide you with some options that you can work with. So for instance, the floor grid. You can see here that the floor grid is always turned on by default and is always coming in at 30 feet by 30 feet. Now, we can change the floor grid length and width. All we need to do is tap in the box we need to change the value in and change that value. So now when I go back to my scene, that floor grid that originally appeared is now going to convert down to a 15-foot by 15-foot floor grid. So you can see how you can actually use the floor grid sizing based on your project requirements that you're working on. Next, we have the layout aids. Now here we have the snap to and the collision prevention. If you're not familiar with these two layout aids, they're actually here and they're very helpful when you're building your scene. Now, if you have any kind of design experience, if you've used Kappa Designer in the past or any kind of contract furniture building tool, you'll kind of recognize what these functions do. Now, Snap to allows you to bring two items close to each other, and what happens is it recognizes a location point in which they're supposed to attach to, and it'll automatically go to that point. All right, these are set by the manufacturer. We do nothing to change the data. So in case you ever find that it's not working properly, what you can do is you can simply turn it off by tapping on the switch, and that'll turn off the snap to. So then you have full flexibility into where you need to position that item. All right, now I'm going to leave it on for the demo. I do like to turn it off when I'm building my scenes, only because I'm very used to creating these scenes from scratch. All right, next we have collision prevention. So collision prevention sounds exactly how it is. It naturally prevents you from moving one item into the other. And I'll kind of demonstrate that a little bit later. To be honest, I rarely ever use this function, but it can help you. So, please get used to all the different features that are available to you and see what works and what doesn't for you. The next set of settings we have are your list view settings, which allows you to display GSA code. So if you do work on any kind of GSA type projects, then all you need to do is simply turn on the controller switch, and that'll allow you to see all GSA codes when you're in list view. All right. Now I'm going to turn that off because we don't need to see the GSA codes for this. The next setting is basically hiding items from KIT's Office Environment Catalog. So this was introduced in the last update that the KIT's app had. I believe that was the last one, which was 2.3.27. This particular setting allows you to hide items from the KIT's Office Environment Catalog. If you're not familiar with what that catalog is, I naturally refer to it as the KOE catalog. And this is a catalog that I love to use because it allows me to bring in architectural elements, allows me to use office equipment, accessories, add people, plants, all the lovely stuff that you'd like to use to enhance your sales message to your client. All right, so again, by default, it comes in off, but if you want to make sure that you hide this from your list view settings, what you'll need to do is tap it, okay, and turn that control switch on. I'm going to leave it off for now, and what I can do is we can demonstrate it a little bit later in the webinar. Okay, and the last setting here is, again, this is if you have Salesforce connectivity. You will see your CRM management setting, and here, again, this will allow you to connect your projects to the opportunity. You need to have Salesforce connectivity for this. All right. The last thing that you need to know about the project settings screen is a little about sign at the bottom here. If you were to tap that, that just takes you into some useful information, and that useful information I'm talking about is your version number. So 2.3.27. This is important to know in case you call in KIT support and they do ask you what version you're running. You can simply go here, find the version number, and let them know. That'll tell our KIT support team that you're currently running on the latest version. All right, tapping back brings you back to the scene builder, and we're ready to talk a little bit more about this screen here. So again, in the middle we have that default floor grid, and you can see that mine has now changed, indicating the 15-foot by 15-foot floor grid that I changed in my project settings. You do see some icons to the left and right of the scene builder. And what you see here on the right-hand side are your camera or list view settings. And you can see by default, because it's highlighted in gray, that we're currently in a 3D view. But you can actually go into a plan view, elevation, list view, as well as lock your camera or reset your camera back to the default position. All right, these are all aids to allow you to build your scenes using kits. Left of that, we have what I call as your action buttons. And here you have the select button, add item, remove, duplicate, group, and ungroup. So these buttons here are all here to help you build and edit your scene. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do now is we're going to actually go right into this, and we're going to start building our scene. So just so you understand, again, your mastery of how to navigate this scene is really vital to you closing those sales quickly. So let's go ahead and start off by tapping on the Add Item button. So when you tap on the Add Item button, it brings you into the Add Item screen, and automatically the catalog filter will prompt open for you to select a manufacturer or a planning typical in which you want to use currently. So here you can see that if I flick up and down, I can go through all the manufacturer catalogs that are available to me. And if I find that manufacturer that I want to use, all I need to do is tap on it. And you can see here that it drills down into showing me those 5 available catalogs that I mentioned in the beginning of the catalog subscription screen. These 5 catalogs that are available from National, which I've synced down to my iPad. And now if I drill down into one of them, it takes me right into that catalog, into some of the subcategories. All right. I'm not going to actually go through this yet. I'm just going to tap on Home to get me back to the very beginning, because what I also want to demonstrate here is the use of planning typicals. So here I tapped on planning typicals, and you can now see all the planning typicals or galleries that I have available of these pre-configured typicals provided by the manufacturer. Right? Now, what I'm going to be using today is I'm going to be using the Kit Sample Collection Gallery. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and find that gallery. Oh, I may have passed it. And tap on that gallery. So here you can see that as soon as I tap on it, it now brings me into a submenu showing me that I have options by choosing to view the gallery by products or to view the gallery by typicals. All right. What you see behind the submenu is a thumbnail view of all the items that are currently in that gallery. And I flick up or down, you can see that I can quickly scan through this gallery in thumbnail view, looking at all the items that are available for me to use. All right. Now, if I do find something that I like, all I have to do is tap on it. When I tap on it, it brings me up into what we call the full screen mode. And here in the full screen mode, you get some information that may be useful for you. So here you get the typical name, as well as a very brief description of the item that you're looking at. It provides you the list pricing, and this little details link here that may contain additional details. And if you were to tap on that, it will prompt some details, but here you can see the chair doesn't. But if we flick through it, like in a presentation mode, left and right, we can actually view all the other items that are available in this catalog. Again, if we tap on details, you can see here what it does is it prompts this product details menu to open, and you can see that there's a brief description, some useful information like the footprint that this typical will take. Right? Tap on the X to close. And if you are going through this gallery in a full screen and you really want to go through this with your client, but you kind of want to hide the clutter of all the information that's available on screen, if you tap the image one more time, that truly brings you into a preview mode. And here in preview or presentation mode, you can actually begin to present all the different items in this gallery that are available for your client to use. And if you find the item that you do want to use, all you need to do is tap on it, tap on the image one more time, and you can see here is the Add to Project button. And all I need to do is tap on this, and that will actually allow me to add this typical to my scene. Now I'm just going to go ahead and tap on my search results. And this time what I'm going to do is, instead of going to thumbnail view, I'm going to go and select the category. I want to bring in an open workstation, so I'm going to go ahead and tap on that one more time. And if you do see the typical that you want to use, what you can do is you can double tap that typical here in the submenu, which allows you to add that typical, or it could be a catalog item, much faster than having to tap it, go into a full screen preview and add the project. All right, so double tapping in the submenu brings you right to the scene builder where you can quickly add this project to your scene. Now I'm just going to go back again, open up the catalog filter. If I tap on the thumbnail and go into the thumbnail preview here, you can see that beside each image at the top right corner, I have this plus sign. So we provided this plus sign here to also allow you the to add the typical to your scene. So here I'm going to go ahead and tap on that plus sign, and again it brings me into the scene builder where I can add that scene. Next, I'm going to go back again. I can also double tap this image one more time. That will also allow me to add that typical to the scene. All right, tapping on the typical again brings me into a full screen preview. Here, tapping on add to project brings me into the scene builder. I'm going to put my finger on this image, and I'm going to drag it onto the floor grid. So there I've added the typical to my scene. And what I always suggest doing is making sure that you place your typical on the floor grid, because the imaginary camera that's positioned is always looking at the center of your floor grid. So here you can properly rotate around your project as long as all items are within that floor grid. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and edit this typical for use. So you can see here that the typical comes in with these red boxes encased around each item. I do have a green box which is on this little table here, and what these red boxes actually indicate is that this typical is grouped together. So all items are grouped together. So if I tap off of the screen and tap on one of the items, you can see here I tap one item, it highlights all items. Again, if I tap off screen and tap one of the items, you can see here that it highlights all items. And that allows me to move these items as one. Now the reason why the chairs have the green one, or if I were to tap on the hutch now has the green box. All the green box indicates is that that's the current item you are selected on in that grouping. All right. Now, I do want to break up this this typical here. So what I want to do is I want to tap on Ungroup now that the typical is selected. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Ungroup here, so I can ungroup this typical. And as soon as I do that, you can see that the hutch now turns into a blue box, indicating that each item is now an individual item and not part of any kind of grouping. All right, so we're actually going to go through the hand gestures here found on the top in the hand gesture movies, and we're going to actually go through each motion. So the first one is your camera rotate. So what you need to do is place your fingers exactly as it is in the hand gestures off the item, and what it'll allow you to do is move those two fingers around to rotate the camera around your typical. All right. The next movie gesture is camera pan. So if I place one finger again off the typical, I can pan the camera up, down, left, and right. Tapping on camera zoom here, if I pinch in and out, that allows me to zoom in and out. And you can see how quickly you can zoom right into an actual furniture item, seeing all the details that have been created for that item. Now, the next set of gestures are your edit gestures, which will allow you to edit the actual items. So what I want to do here is I want to start editing this scene. But first, what I want to do is add a task chair. So let's go ahead and tap on the Add Item menu. And what you want to do here is you just want to go ahead and tap on the back arrow to go back into your catalog or gallery. And then at this point, all I want to do is I want to clear my search. So I can either tap on the X that appears beside any of the filters, or I can tap on Reset All to reset my Add Item menu. All right, so you can see there, I tapped on Reset All. It brings me back right to the very beginning of the Add Item menu with the catalog filter now open. So I can easily drill down to find the actual item I need to use. But what I want to do is I'm just going to simply tap in the model number here in the search box so I can actually use the search feature. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap in N65AAA. Once the model number is down, I'm going to tap on search. And what KITS is beginning to do is it's beginning to search against all the content that I've currently synced from the cloud to my iPad, all the manufacturer catalogs and galleries looking for model number N65AAA. And you can see here, once it locates it, it'll prompt all the results. So you can have results that are found in typicals if that model is being used in a typical, or you can find the results directly from the manufacturer's catalog. All right, so I want to use the very first one. I'm going to go ahead and double tap on that chair. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly drag it into my scene. All right. Now I'm going to tap off of the actual submenu to clear out the Add Item submenu window and get back into the scene builder. So here you can see that I have my chair highlighted. So what I want to demonstrate is the item move horizontal. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my finger on the chair, and I'm now going to move that chair. And you can see here that the chair is moving, not the camera, because all items on the floor grid are staying put while I'm just moving that single chair. The next gesture is item move vertical. Now this is a very important feature for you to understand, because this will allow you to move items off of the actual floor plane or position it where it needs to be, either stacked on another item or let's say part of a panel frame. Okay, so very useful tool if you're building any kind of panel systems, because panel systems come with varying heights, so the manufacturer can actually set a default height for that item. For instance, these hutches that you see here, these will always come in at a specific height for the manufacturer based on their work surface height. And the reason why I say based on the manufacturer is because every manufacturer has a different work surface height. So their hutches or anything that goes on top of anything that's at work surface height will come in at that height. Okay, so you can see here, just going to quickly drag into this or zoom into this. I want to position this at the very back of this credenza. So I'm going to move it. And as I move it, you can see it snaps to that corner. Okay. And again, I need to move it just a little bit further back so I can get my fabric on top. So you can see the snap to actually correcting how the item is positioned. All right. And again, if I really want to perfect that, I can get right into it, move it all the way back, right to the very corner. You can see how it quickly snapped to that corner. That is the snap to function in play. Now, just to show you the collision prevention, let's go into the settings, turn on collision prevention. I'm going to take my chair, and I'm going to try running it through the desk, and you can see here what it's doing is it's preventing that from happening. Right? If I turn it on, or if I turn it back off, you can see here I can push it right into the furniture. All right? So to demonstrate the item move vertical, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this chair. It's highlighted already. And I'm going to go ahead and tap on the duplicate button right over here to create a copy. And then I'm going to go into elevation view. So you can see here that the chairs are both on the floor. All right. Now I'm going to place 3 fingers as the gesture suggests. And I'm going to raise up. And you can see that this chair is now coming off the actual floor. So if I were to quickly validate that, you can see that it is risen above everything else. Okay, so that's actually how you use item move vertical. Very useful for you to set things in their appropriate positions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just remove that chair because there's no such thing as a floating chair in an office. It would be very cool, but unfortunately, no one has come to creating that yet. So let's go ahead and tap on remove right over here to remove that item from the scene. All right, I'm going to go back into my 3D view. And we're going to continue on with the movie gesture. So here we have the item rotate. Now this is probably the most trickiest of all the gestures here to get used to. What you need to do is place 2 fingers as the gesture suggests, and you need to rotate them together. So in order to practice this, what I like to do is I like to have people go into plan view so they can actually zoom in to the area of the item in which they need to rotate. Now I'm going to go ahead and tap on the item so you can see that it's highlighted in blue. I'm currently holding my iPad with my left hand, and I'm going to place my right hand, as the gesture suggests, with my thumb and finger wide apart. And I'm going to rotate my finger and thumb together. So you can see here I am rotating my actual chair. Now, a good thing to practice is rotating with your thumb and your finger, but at the same time, what I'm doing is my left hand is actually moving in the opposite direction that I'm rotating my fingers in. So this allows me a little bit more freedom into rotating that item as far as I need to rotate it. Okay. Now I'm just going to go to 3D view. Another great thing to do to practice your rotate is locking your camera position right here. So I'm going to tap on it, and when I do so, you can see this little lock appear. Now anytime I try to rotate the camera, that icon does a little jig. That indicates that the camera position is currently locked. So now if I place my 2 fingers and I try to rotate that chair, but it's not working, but I do see that camera lock icon doing that little jig. That's telling me that I'm trying to rotate the camera and not the actual item. So it's a great way to practice having to get used to the rotating function. Now, in case you ever move your actual scene off screen, I'm just going to unlock my camera first. Let's say you zoom all the way in and accidentally swipe, and now you just get this white space. And you can't find your project. You don't know where it went. It could be very small. It could be hidden behind something. It could be moved all the way to the left or right. What you can do is you can tap on this camera reset icon here, and that will bring your floor grid back into the default position that we have set for kids. All right, so I'm just going to zoom quickly in. And we're going to move along to the next gesture. So here we have the drag select. Now this is a function that I use quite often. And the reason why I use it quite often is it allows me to set different clusters of items into joined groups. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to join certain clusters together that belong to each other so that anytime I need to move one of those items, all of those items go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into plan view. And we know this desk is always going to remain together as well as with this task chair for now. So I'm going to tap and hold the select button here. And you can see that when I tap and hold it, the icon turns gray. Now I'm going to place my finger, just as in the gesture here suggests, just above the actual layout that I want to select. And then I'm going to diagonally run my finger across that layout, creating this marquee box. Now anything that's caught within this marquee box becomes selected. So I'm going to let go, and then I'm going to let go of my left hand. So now you can see that I've selected all the items that were caught in this marquee box. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Group to join those items. Go back to 3D view, and there you have it. You can see it there. Okay, I'm going to tap off the items, tap on the task here. Again, there's that green box indicating that I'm currently on that item in that grouping. But more importantly, all those items are now grouped together so I can move them as one. So I'm going to go ahead and just set this back. And then I'm going to go back to plan view. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take this chair, and we're going to use it as the guest chairs. Let's create a duplicate. And there we go. Okay, so now that I've placed these two chairs as my guest chairs, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate these two chairs or this bench here. I'm just going to quickly bring it over and position it in the layout I want to position it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to proceed to the next gesture, which is the multi-select, which is very similar to the drag select because it allows you to select multiple items. But this time, what it's actually asking me to do is instead of tapping and holding the select button, all I'm going to do is just tap on that button, and it highlights in blue. Now, any item that I touch will add that to the selection of items that I'm currently on. So you can see here that I now have 3 blue boxes around these guest chairs. I'm satisfied with that, so I'm going to make sure that I turn off my select, and then I'm going to go ahead and group those items together. Okay, so now these items are 1. I can easily position this where I need to position them. All right, so we're just going to quickly go back to 3D view. We're pretty much done with all the hand gestures here, so I'm going to go ahead and tap on the hand gesture icon to remove the ribbon. Now you can see that I have this hoop arrow here, and that hoop arrow indicates that you can actually create an undo. So I can tap that as many times as I want, and anytime you tap on undo, it creates a redo. So I can make sure that I redo all the way back to where I need to go. Right? So my scene looks pretty good now. I do need to proceed with specifying some of these finishes. The great thing about these typicals is that they may come in with some kind of specification on them, as you can see as this one did, but you can always go and change that based on your project requirements. So the best thing to do is if your client says, hey, you know, I kind of like that layout. It's not exactly the furniture I want to use, but I do like the arrangement. I don't like the color. Well, you know what? You can actually ungroup the typicals and edit them to match the layout in which you have to create for your client, and you can also edit all the swatches that have been already pre-selected. So what I want to do here to re-specify the swatches is I want to go ahead and select the task chair first. I'm just going to double tap it, and you can see here that it brings up the edit item menu. And so what I want to do at this point is I want to actually start specifying the actual chair. Now you can see that anytime you introduce an item that you want to bring into your scene, you can see in the edit item menu, it provides you a little graphic of the chair as well as a brief description, model number, catalog code, configure price option at the item level. So here you can actually configure price. I'm not going to get into it into this webinar, as we will be running the configure price webinar this week. And then beside it, what you have is the list price of that actual item. Below it, we have the product details. If we tap on there, that just is a regurgitation of the details that you find at the top. Just going to tap on options again. Here we have the full specifications that we can actually go into for that particular item. So let's go ahead and start off with upholstery grade. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And as soon as I tap on there, you can see that the Select Finish menu prompts open. And at the very bottom of the Select Finish menu, we have all the current swatches that are available from the manufacturer. All right, quite a lot of swatches to go through, especially if you're looking for something in particular. Now, the great thing about kits is it allows you to define those swatches based on the upholstery grade, as well as based on a color filter. So here we can say that let's say that we want to look at some grade 1 fabrics. but the client is also interested in some grade 3 fabric. So you can see here when I tapped on grade 1, it's now refreshed my swatch list at the bottom here, showing me only those found in grade 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and tap on grade 3, and now it's refreshed again, stacking all grade 3 fabrics on top of all my grade 1 fabrics. So you can see how it starts to build your swatch list as you start tapping on multiple grades. Okay, I want to further filter my result by looking at only gray swatches. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on gray, and you can now see that I'm looking at only my gray swatches. So I'm going to go ahead and select one of these. We're going to go with Stardust Aura, and then we're going to tap on Next. Again, we're into the next option of the specification, which is the caster. So I'm going to go ahead and select the hard tool, wheel black. You guys are the designers, so you can specify your project any way you want. I'm going to pick these colors. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Done. So you can now see that that chair has been fully specified. If you don't like what you did, or if you need to go back, again, all you need to do is double tap on the item. And then instead of having to go through the entire specification again, you can just tap on the option you need to change. For instance, let's change this to upholstery grade. And instead of going through the grades, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and tap on orange. So I can now look at all the orange fabrics that are available to me. I can further refine this, this swatch update here by tapping on the grade. I'm not going to actually do that for now. I'm just going to go ahead and select one. Let's go with Molta Papaya. And then we're going to go and just tap on Close. So you can now see that that fabric has quickly changed on that chair again. All right. Next thing I want to do is I want to double tap on the guest chairs here that I've dragged in. And I want to make some quick changes to the finish. So I know that the finish for the case goods is going to be mocha. So I'm going to make sure that I find the finish here that I want to change. And I'm going to go ahead and change that to mocha. I'm going to tap on Next. We're going to change the paint color of the legs to nickel. And you can see those changes being made. I'm going to tap on Next. And you can see there's a standard that's already been predefined. I'm going to tap on Done because I'm complete with that. All right, so the really cool thing here is now that the item has been fully specified, I can actually go and create a quick sheet or a cut sheet for my client based on the actual item. Now, again, this is something that they may request, so we made sure that we made it available for you to go through. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to first place 2 fingers on the image so I can actually rotate the image and place it in the position I want to place it in that'll help me sell this particular item. So once I find it there, all I'm going to do is tap on Quick Sheet. And what that does is it opens up the edit menu for the Quick Sheet. And then on the right-hand side, you see the Quick Sheet preview, which is the PDF that will be created and sent to the client. In the edit menu, you have the option of turning on your model number, options and finishes, product details, pricing. You can discount it at this level. I'm not going to do any kind of discounting right now because we're going to cover that in the next webinar. But you can also add any note. And if you turn your notes on, all you need to make sure you do is tap in the empty box provided below notes. There you can actually add whatever your note's going to be. And then I'm going to tap on the keyboard to close. That's this little keyboard icon at the bottom right corner. And now I can go and take a look at the quick sheet. Okay, and if I'm satisfied with that, what I'm going to do is I can print it if I'm connected to an air printer, or I can send it in a generic email template that uses the default email associated to your iPad. So my suggestion is, if it's not a professional email, make sure that you send it to your professional email and then resend back out to your client. Okay, and there's the generic template that's created. If I needed to add some comments, and all I need to do is add in a recipient, and then tap on keyboard to close, or tap on send to send the actual email. All right, great. So now we're on to the next item. So we made some changes to the chair. What I want to do now is I want to make some changes to the case goods that are being used here. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap on this first work surface. And then instead of going through everything, all I'm going to do is tap on the option I need to change. If the item is similar to any other item that takes on the same finishes, what it'll do is it may apply those finishes to that item as well when you select Replace All. So here I'm going to go ahead and tap on that checkbox to turn it on, and now I'm going to go ahead and respecify this project. Okay, and there's Mocha. I'm going to tap on Done. If I go back here, you can see what it's automatically done is it's also changed the finish on the work surface that's been added for this configuration. I'm going to go ahead and change those legs. And you can see here there is no specification for this particular item because it doesn't provide you with a drop-down menu for you, or with a menu for you to choose from. Okay, now I'm going to continue on with this hutch. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap on that. Now I'm going to tap on the option I wish to change. That's going to become designer white. Let's tap on next, and that's going to become mocha. Okay. Now you can see here I didn't tap replace all. So what it's done is it's only added a finish to that hutch. I'm just going to quickly go back here. Let's double tap on the hutch one more time. But this time, what we're going to do is before we select the specification, I'm going to go ahead and tap on replace all. We're going to make that white, and then we're going to change the box back to mocha. And tap on done. And you can see what it's actually done, or what Kits actually has done, is it's recognized all items that take on the same finish, and it's applied that onto that furniture item. So this is a great way for you to become much more efficient when you're building your scenes. It's starting to come along. I love what we actually have. There's only one little change I need to make, and that's this little side table here. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap on that. And I'm going to quickly change that to mocha, and then this also to nickel platinum, or nickel metallic, sorry. And I'm going to go ahead and double tap on this bench chair here. I want to keep the arm cap to being black, so let's keep that. I go next. I want this finish to be mocha, so we're going to change that to mocha. And then again, the white legs, I want to make sure come in as satin nickel. When I'm satisfied with that, I'm going to go ahead and tap on close. You can see here that I didn't select replace all. However, what it's done is it's actually replaced the fabric on this bench. So I'm pretty satisfied with this now. You know, my client definitely likes it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to position it for my rendering so that we can quickly create a rendering. Now, just in case, before you even do all that, you can go into your list view. So here's your part or your parts list, or your item line item list view. You can actually go through your line item list view to making sure that everything is good. If you need to make any kind of changes to any of the items, let's say I'm going to make a change to this particular chair here. What I can do is instead of going to 3D view and double tapping on that chair, if I double tap anywhere in this items line, what it does is it allows me to edit that item. So the list view works similarly as the scene builder when you're in 3D view. So you can make changes to the items because all you need to do is find the item you need to make a change to, double tap in its box, and it'll allow you to make those changes. So here we can quickly tap on upholstery grade. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to change the fabric. So instead of going orange, I'm going to go ahead and tap on blue. And we're going to select one of these lighter colors here. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. And now I'm going to tap on close. So you can see how quickly that chair has taken that, that particular swatch. All right. Now another cool thing you can do is if you tap on the pricing here, that automatically takes you to the configure price menu. Right. Now lastly, you can see here that in my list view, it lists the quantity of the items that I currently have that are similar. Here you can see the number 2, and here you can see that this model number has been placed 1 and 2. And the reason why it's been placed 1 and 2 is that really indicates when that particular chair was introduced. So the first one was obviously created first, and the second one may have been a duplicate of the first one. Right? So if we were to make a swatch change, go ahead and pick a light color here. What I can do is I can go ahead and make that change. I can tap on close, go to my 3D view, and you notice what it's done is it's added both items with the same specification that I've just indicated. Now I didn't select the other chair, but it certainly added that swatch, and the reason being is the behavior of the item in the project. All right. Now I'm going to cover behavior in projects in about 2 weeks, so please join that session. It's a great feature to use because it allows you to really change up a lot of the same items that are being used in your scene. Right. So there, I've made some changes to that chair. What I want to do now is I want to quickly position my layout based on how I want to present this project to my client. Once I'm satisfied with that, what I can do is I can quickly create a rendering. Now to create a rendering, all you need to do is at the left of the actual navigation bar, we have the HD render button. So if we go ahead and tap on that, you can see here what it does is it prompts 4 rendering options, which is good, better, and best, as well as line drawing. Right? So whenever we're client-facing, we always suggest that you use good quality fast because that is the fastest rendering option, which takes literally between anywhere from 7 to 15 seconds based on the intricacy of the project. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and tap on that first. So what KITS is actually doing now is it's using its ray tracing process to change the actual images. So it's creating a more high-definition image, adding shade and shadow. What that ray tracer does is it gives you the natural feel of what that actual seat looks like. So the natural curves here, how the fabric wraps around the curves, how the light wraps around the actual curve of the bench. All right? So I'm satisfied with this. What I'm going to do is I always suggest that you save this to your photo library. So we're going to tap on Export, tap on Copy to Photo Library, and there you go. All right? We can simply tap on Back to go back. What I always like to do is I like to create another rendering, and this time based on the plan view. So here again, I'm going to maximize the actual view. I'm going to make sure that it's positioned somewhere in the middle, and then I'm going to go tap on HD Render and create a line drawing. Now, the line drawing takes a second. You can see here I now have a good plan view or bird's eye view of the actual layout in case they need to understand what the circulation points are going to be in this office. So again, I'm going to tap on Export. We're going to save it to the photo library. In case you need to send it directly to your client from Kits, make sure that you're connected to a Wi-Fi. Here you can see when I tap on Export, I can save it to my photo library, or I can send it as an email. And this is the generic email that's created. There you can see the image that's attached at the bottom. Okay, you can also add any comments. You should have your credentials. If you don't, please contact Kit Support and they can help you with that. And there you go. All right. Now, you can also include an environment which will really enhance that sales message. So what we mean by including environment is you can add an image as a background or a backdrop to the layout that you've created. You can either use your client site by taking a picture using the app and using the iPad camera and placing your furniture in there, or you can use one of the sample galleries which we have. Again, we will be touching including environment at the end of April, so please stay tuned for that. It's going to be a great webinar. Right? The next icon is your share icon. So if I tap on that, you can see here that I do have the option to creating a project quick sheet, sharing my project with another Kits user, or exporting an AutoCAD file, which is a DXF and CIF file. So if you want to send any of those, all you have to do is tap on the option. Here it's going to automatically prompt me to save my project, so we're going to tap on Save. And there, all I need to do is enter the recipient's email address. I can add any comments I wish to by tapping in that box. And then when I'm satisfied, all I need to do is tap on Export, and it will send that AutoCAD file to any recipient that is listed that isn't or doesn't have to be a Kits user. The next option is Share Project. Now, Share Project can only be used when you're sharing the project to another licensed Kits user. And that licensed Kits user must have a valid email address, which is assigned as their Kits account name. Right? So all you have to do is enter it. If you're working with a peer in your dealership that also has Kits, you can share projects within with each other, which is a great collaboration tool to use because you never know when you may need some of your peers' brain power to help you close a project. Right? And lastly, we have the project quick sheet. So if we tap on that, you can see here that we can create an estimation or a project quick sheet, which we can send out to the client, which indicates the total sell price or list price of the project, as well as provides them with some details. So here we have the project name, which is the current project name created for this. If I tap on project name, tap on the X to clear the name, what I can do is I can change that name only for the quick sheet. Right. Next, I have HD rendering. If I tap on that, you can see here I can choose between all the different renderings that I've created. So here I'm going to tap on that, and there you can see the image has now changed, showing my client the image I want him to see. Now the next options are pricing. So here what I can do is, if I haven't created pricing at the item level, I can actually add a discount directly here at the estimation or here in the project quick sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on discount. We're going to say we're going to give the client 30%. And now you can see here that I have the total list price. Then I have the less discounted price based on 30%, which we're giving them. And then we now have the total sell price. You can also add a custom sell line item. Let's say shipping and handling. All you need to do is turn that on. Tap in the custom label box. We're going to say shipping and handling. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap in a dollar value. All right, great. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. I can go ahead and add a note. So let's go ahead and tap on there. And I'm going to tap on the box below Notes. And here I'm going to just say, here is your private office. So there you are. I've now added a shipping and handling. You can actually see it indicated right over here. Okay. Now you can see that here's the PDF that's been generated. If I flick up or down, I can actually go through that PDF of the actual quick sheet, which actually shows me all the items listed, all the details, and their pricing. If I scroll all the way down, you do have the options here on the left-hand side to actually choose what your client actually sees. If you just want to show them a configured price of the layout, all you have to do is make sure you close your item details. So you now have this single sheet only showing them the configured price of the actual layout. Let's turn item details back on. If you want them to see their options and finishes, again, you can turn that on. Option and finishes appear. If you want them to see the thumbnail of the item, you can turn that on. And discounting. If you've added a discount that was created at the item level, what you can do is remove the discount from the actual project, however, maintaining the net value of the items. All right? So if you're satisfied with this, all you need to do again is print it to an air printer or tap on send. Here's the generic email. Again, there's the PDF that's been attached. I can add my comments. Need to send this out to my client ASAP. All right, so we're pretty much it with creating the project, creating the quick sheets. Now I'm just going to go and tap on back. This time I'm going to go ahead and tap on projects to get me back into the project gallery screen. So what I want to do here is I want to organize my projects. And you can see here right now my projects are currently organized by the most recently saved. If I look below the actual project, you can see here that it indicates the date when it was created as well as the time when it was created. Right? Now, if I go ahead and tap on Webinar Demo, you can see that I can actually make changes to this actual project name. So here, I just want to change it back into the KISP office. And let's close that. So you can now see that it's now accepted a new name change. All right. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to start organizing this in folders as well as organizing the project view right now, the project gallery screen view that I see by alphanumerically. So what I can do here at this point is if I tap and hold onto the project, you can see here that it quickly zooms. I'm just going to let go. It highlights the project and it starts to do this little shimmy. Now I want to create a duplicate of this project, which is this icon here. This is the copy button. If I tap on that, you can see here it quickly allows me to create a copy. The really cool thing to do to use, or the really, okay, just erase that. So the really great feature here with the copy button is that you can create a set of standards that are not finished, that are just in grayscale, not fully specified, of every layout that you use commonly. And then all you need to do is anytime you need to show your client that layout, create a copy of it so that that can become the copy that you use to create all the multiple iterations of your standard, right? What I want to do at this point is I want to add this copy to this project to create a project folder of this particular layout that I'm creating for this project. So here I'm going to tap on hold the first project. I'm going to drag it on top of the other one. I'm going to let go, and you can now see that it creates a project folder, and I now have those two projects contained in that folder. If I tap in this folder name box, I can actually change that. We're going to call it the webinar demo. Now I'm just going to tap on the lighter gray around the darker gray to get back into my project gallery screen. All right. Now if I need to erase an item, all I need to do is tap let's say, into the folder, or tap and hold the item you need to erase. Again, it's doing that shimmy. This time I'm going to tap on the trash icon, and there, that's the delete button. You can go ahead and tap on yes, and that deletes the item from your iPad. Now, many of you have asked, if I delete an item or a project from my iPad, can I recover it? Yes, you can, as long as you don't hit sync now. So anytime you hit the sync, what that does is it creates a new image of the current status of the app on your iPad. So if you've erased the item and you tap on sync, what happens is it now creates a new image of your account, and it updates your iCount, your cloud count with a new image, so that this becomes sort of like a backup for you. Now, if you didn't hit sync, what you can do is contact Kit Support, and what Kit Support can do is they can actually find that item and bring it back to your mobile account. Right? So the other thing here I want to do is I want to quickly organize this project gallery screen alphanumerically. All I need to do is tap on name here. And what that does is it refreshes my project gallery screen, indicating all the projects and folders alphanumerically. If I need to search for a particular item, I can tap into the search box, and if I'm looking for, let's say, any project that contains the word demo in it, I'm going to actually type in demo. And you can see here automatically what it does is it starts to change my results to show me all my projects that contain the word demo in it. Now, if I want to actually refine this, what I can do is I can phrase my search exactly how the project is actually phrased, because this search function isn't like your Google search. You can't use keywords and search for that, or multiple keywords and search for that. You can use a singular keyword search, and you can search for that. But in this case, what you need to do is you need to phrase your search exactly how the project is phrased in terms of its project name. So here, I'm actually looking for projects that are called Kits Demo. If I add Kits to the end of demo, tap on search, you can see here that it results in no projects found. But if I go ahead and tap in Kits before demo and do my search, there you go. You can see that what it does is it prompts all the projects that are named Kits Demo. Right? To clear all this, all you need to do is tap on the X here in the search box. That'll clear your search query, and then you can tap on Most Recent to make sure that you're in the default project gallery preview. Right? And that's pretty much it, everyone. You're now one step closer to becoming that supercharged power user. So again, I thank you all for joining me, and I do apologize for the abrupt end to our webinar. You know, we assure that every time we run these webinars, that we're trying to provide our community with the best of what we can do. So please enjoy this recap. You know, we've dedicated it to all the people that joined us for that webinar. And again, we just want to make sure that you're getting the content that you want to get. All right, so thanks again for joining me. Everyone, have a great day.